The night the flames devour 100 girls in an apartment building, and the truth everyone wants to know. Do you believe that right in the middle of a modern, bustling city, there still exists an old apartment building where people whisper about restless souls who have never found peace? One night, fire erupted violently. 100 young girls were trapped on the highest floor, their screams blending with the sound of twisted metal in the suffocating heat. But what made the entire city shudder was not just the number 100. It was the horrifying truth about why they couldn't escape. Today, I will tell you the story that the media buried for the past 20 years, and the truth that everyone wants to know. The Sunset Apartment Building. Hwang-Hon Tower. At first glance, the name sounds like a beautiful place, but in reality, it was one of the oldest, most decrepit buildings in the city. Nestled among rows of gleaming glass skyscrapers, this 22-story apartment block was built in the 1970s, back when the Zenith textile conglomerate was still thriving. At that time, the entire building served as a dormitory for hundreds of female workers who labored day and night. Zenith collapsed after a financial scandal, and the building quickly fell into abandonment for nearly 15 years. In the late 1990s, the authorities decided to renovate it into low-income housing. Floors 1 through 20 were hastily refurbished and opened to residents with limited means. But the 21st and 22nd floors, once communal living spaces, remained locked tight because the concrete structure had decayed so badly it was no longer safe. Most of the new residents didn't pay much attention to the building's dark past. But during the renovations, a group of workers discovered something strange. On the cement floor of the top hallway, countless deep scratches made by fingernails stretched from the walls to the doorways, each mark etched clearly. Someone had left behind the traces of their despair, an unspoken farewell. Even so, the construction supervisor merely waved his hand dismissively and said, "Old stories. Don't bother yourselves with it." And then everything quietly sank back into oblivion. The night the flames erupted, on the night of February 14th, 2003, Valentine's Day, the entire city glittered with lights and fireworks. Crowds poured into the streets to celebrate, cheering amid the throngs of people. But few knew that just a few blocks away, a tragedy was beginning. Around midnight, Mrs. Clayton, a resident on the 19th floor, stepped into the hallway after hearing a strange noise. She froze when she caught the acrid stench, like burning rubber mixed with an icy dampness. Moments later, the fire alarm began to shriek. Emergency lights instantly flickered red along every corridor, leaving everyone stunned and disoriented. It took less than 5 minutes for the fire to spread from the 21st floor down the stairwell. The searing heat blew open the fire doors, turning the entire escape route into a massive chimney, glowing red and thick with black smoke. The elevators stopped working. Residents on the lower floors panicked, shoving past each other to flee down the opposite staircase. Many families managed to escape into the street, trembling as they looked up at the burning building that seemed about to collapse. But on the 21st floor, there were people, and they did not run. No one knows for sure why. On that particular night, 100 girls gathered in an abandoned room. Later, some witnesses claimed they'd heard rumors the group had rented the space to rehearse for a city talent competition. Others said it was just a belated birthday party. Yet when firefighters reviewed the records, everyone was shaken. There was no rental application for that floor, no short-term lease, no paperwork confirming their presence. And in the entire list of residents, not a single name matched the group. As if the 100 girls had stepped onto the 21st floor from somewhere else, and that night was the moment they were meant to vanish from the world. The strange details. When the flames finally began to subside, the fire crew, wearing special heat-resistant suits, dared to advance to the 21st floor. The main iron door had been locked from the outside, forcing them to use crowbars and cutting tools to break it open. The screech of red-hot metal pierced the suffocating smoke. But when the last door finally collapsed, everyone fell silent. In the middle of a room over 300 square meters wide, 100 young girls stood in 4 perfectly straight rows, their backs against the wall. Their hair hung down, completely covering their faces. Under the beams of flashlights and the flicker of dying embers, their hair was singed and smoldering like drifting phantoms. Not a single one had collapsed. No one struggled or tried to flee. They simply stood motionless, all of them facing the same dark corner at the end of the hallway, where the flames had raged the fiercest. One firefighter later recounted, his voice trembling. "In that moment, I swear I heard someone whispering, a woman's voice, blending with the crackle of the fire." He said the words echoed up from a crack beneath the floor. "We promised not to leave." When the fire was finally extinguished, the forensics team entered to collect the remains. The scene was something they would never forget. In that smoke-blackened room, there was nothing left but ashes and charred bone. But what horrified everyone most, all the ashes were still arranged exactly in rows, precisely where each girl had stood. No signs of struggle, no chaos, no desperate screams. It was as if they had willingly let the flames consume them, silent, like some kind of sacrificial ritual. No one could explain it. No one dared to speak of that moment again. All that remained was a room burned to black, and a question without an answer. Why did they stand there and wait to die? The secret investigation. Immediately after the fire, the city authorities quickly held a press conference, declaring the cause to be nothing more than an unexpected electrical short circuit. All conclusions were announced hastily within less than 48 hours. The building was sealed off, and the press was barred from accessing the 21st floor. Yet not everyone believed it was just an accident. An independent team of investigative journalists, led by Harvey Dalton, a veteran reporter renowned for exposing scandals, began digging deeper into the truth. Harvey and his colleagues interviewed 37 witnesses who had been in the building that night. They spoke to firefighters, maintenance workers, and residents in the surrounding neighborhood. Bit by bit, fragments of information began to fit together, forming a picture more terrifying than any official theory. Reviewing the old archives of the Zenith Textile Conglomerate, the original owner of the building, the reporters uncovered faded reports, many pages already musty and brittle. Among them was a record from 1974 that had never been publicly disclosed. According to this document, in the winter of 1974, on that very same 21st floor, there had been another devastating fire. That night, exactly 100 female workers on the night shift were trapped inside. When the rescue teams reached them, they discovered all the bodies arranged neatly in rows, showing no signs of struggle or attempts to escape. The official conclusion recorded only a single sentence: mass asphyxiation due to smoke inhalation. Industrial accident. Case closed. But what was even stranger was that after the flames were extinguished, the 21st floor continued to smolder with heat for 3 more days, even though no flammable materials remained. The fire seemed to cling stubbornly to that space, as if something refused to fade away. After that disaster, Zenith spiraled downward and went bankrupt within a few months. All records related to the identities of the 100 female workers were ordered to be seized. No one knows where that list disappeared to, and to this day, Not a single complete personnel file has ever been found, as if they had never existed at all. Rumors in the dark. After the night of the fire, the 21st floor was sealed off. Authorities erected barricades and posted warning signs forbidding entry. But even though it was closed, that place continued to radiate a chilling cold that seeped through the entire building. Longtime residents began to tell each other strange stories about what happened there at night, rumors that made anyone who heard them shudder. Some claimed that on long, rainy nights, if you dared to climb the stairwell up to the 21st floor, you would hear a faint singing voice drifting from behind the locked iron door. The song had no clear words, only a vague, sorrowful melody, like a lullaby for children. Sometimes the singing seemed to whisper right beside your ear. Other times, it echoed from the far end of the pitch-dark hallway. Occasionally, without anyone touching it, the door to the 21st floor would slowly creak open, letting out a gust of air thick with a scorched smell. In that draft was the acrid scent of burned hair and old rotting cloth. Those who had breathed it said they coughed for days afterward, and in their dreams they kept seeing hundreds of figures standing motionless, staring at them without blinking. Some even insisted that one night in June, during a power outage in the entire building, they went to investigate with a flashlight. As the beam swept across the 21st floor hallway, they nearly dropped it in horror. Along the smoke-stained wall, a long line of pale shapes was faintly visible. All of them stood perfectly still, faces turned toward the door, hair hanging down over their features, as if waiting for someone to call them out. The most chilling story came from Mrs. Margaret, then over 70 years old, who had been the night shift supervisor in 1974. She was the last person to leave the 21st floor before the original fire broke out. In a rare interview, she trembled and wiped her tears as she said a sentence that left the entire team of reporters in stunned silence. "We promised them. We promised we wouldn't abandon them if anything ever happened. But when the fire erupted, everyone ran. Everyone stayed silent and left them behind." The mystery of the Eden list. Unwilling to stop at rumors and the meager fire reports, Harvey Dalton was determined to find the final missing piece. He and his colleagues scoured Zenith's abandoned archives, left to decay after the company's bankruptcy, where mountains of paper had rotted so badly that a touch would make them crumble like ash. In a corner of a sagging metal shelf, they came upon a canvas-wrapped file box, its edges scorched, a faded red ink stamp across the lid. When they opened it, Harvey nearly dropped the sheaf of papers inside. The acrid smell of burning still clung to them after nearly 30 years. Among the disordered stacks, there was one bundle of papers held together with a rusted clip, the title typed in bold: Eden, Special Project, Top Secret. The list contained exactly 100 names, with columns recording birth years, hometowns, and employee ID numbers. All of them were female workers employed by Zenith since 1973. Beneath each name was a single note repeated like a curse: 21st floor volunteer, not permitted to leave position. Harvey carefully photographed every page, but as he closed the box to carry it out, an archive supervisor on patrol appeared without warning. Just a few hours later, every document he had uncovered was sealed and moved elsewhere. No one ever saw them again. Harvey repeatedly stated publicly, Eden was absolutely not any normal manufacturing or training program. Based on what he had gathered, Zenith had secretly conducted an extreme experiment involving collective consciousness, or possibly some occult ritual meant to bind the spirits of the entire group. As far-fetched as this theory sounded, it remained the only explanation for why, in both fires, 100 women had stood motionless, never screaming, never trying to flee. Yet when Harvey tried to locate more witnesses to corroborate it, Zenith had vanished as if it had never existed, leaving behind nothing but a smoke-stained ruin and that mysterious list called Eden. The return of the 100 spirits. After the night the flames consumed 100 girls, the 21st and 22nd floors were sealed behind iron mesh, marked with warning signs of danger. People believed the story would gradually fade into oblivion. Yet the ghostly rumors and the dread of that charred room never disappeared. They crept through every floor below. 2 years later, in early 2005, a major real estate company purchased the entire Hoang Han Tower. A bold plan was announced to renovate the building into a complex of offices and luxury apartments. Workers were hired en masse, scaffolding erected, modern equipment brought in to dismantle the old structure. On the day the first crew removed the iron barrier from the 21st floor, the air in the stairwell turned abruptly icy. They described it as if they had stepped through an invisible curtain, heavy and suffocating. As they broke apart the scorched cement wall, everyone froze at the strange sight. Across the floor, under a thick layer of dust, were 100 blackened footprints pressed deep into the concrete, as if pairs of burning feet had stood motionless there until the very last moment. The prints were arranged in 4 perfect rows, not scattered, as if all of them were still present, only turned to ash. On the far wall of the room, the very place the girls had once faced, a rough line of text was carved deep, with cracks radiating through the cement as if it had been seared and then hardened. We waited, and we will keep waiting. The rumor spread instantly, causing many workers to quit halfway through the project. The site manager had to hire a new crew to continue the renovations. But just a few months later, the project was abruptly suspended without explanation. The legal records were sealed, and no one ever stepped forward to explain why the company abandoned the work after investing millions of dollars. To this day, the 21st floor remains locked, and the question, larger than any rumor, still hangs in the air. Who are they really waiting for? The twist that shook the entire city. Have you ever wondered, why exactly 100 girls died again? Why not someone else, or some random number? In 2020, Claire, the daughter of journalist Harvey Dalton, decided to continue the investigation her father had left unfinished. During one search for documents, she unexpectedly discovered a letter that had never been made public, hidden deep in the City Hall archives. The letter bore the signature of Zenith's former director, with lines of scrawled handwriting that were haunting to read. We must uphold the promise to Eden. Every 30 years, the 21st floor must be purified. If not, the curse will descend upon the entire city. Claire held her breath, reading it over and over, then shivered as she realized the horrifying coincidence. In 1974, the first fire happened. In 2003, exactly 30 years later, another 100 girls died in the same way. If what Zenith's director wrote was true, this cycle of purification was not over. It meant that every 30 years, the 21st floor was required to sacrifice 100 female souls to keep the curse from spreading across the city. Claire realized that if it happened again, the next event would be in 2033. And when that time came, who would be the ones chosen? A message from the other side. 1 month after Claire published her investigation, she disappeared. Her laptop was found in the 10th floor apartment where she had been staying to write the article. The last file open on the screen was an audio recording. A woman's voice whispered, "Don't speak. If you tell, you will take their place. To this day, no one has ever found Claire. More than 20 years have passed since the night Huang Han Tower burned to ashes. The 21st floor remains sealed and barricaded. But sometimes, people living nearby still hear singing in the middle of the night. 100 voices blending together. We are still here, waiting for the next in line. Do you think all this is just legend? Or is it the truth everyone pretends not to see, because no one wants to believe it's real? If this story gave you chills, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Share this video, and subscribe to the channel so we can uncover more forgotten mysteries together. And if one night you find yourself passing by Huang Han Tower, please, don't stop to look up at the 21st floor, because they are still waiting for one complicit gaze.